Arian flips a quarter and spins a spinner below. How many things are happening? 2 things. What is the probability of the quarter landing on tails up and the spinner landing on B? 2 things happening. You need the probability of a quarter, and you need probability of landing on B. Sorry, probability of a quarter. That's silly. Probability, of tails. Sorry. And probability of landing on B. So, probability of tails is 1/2. Probability of landing on B, well, there's 1 B out of how many letters? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now you're going to multiply. 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 5 is 10. That's your answer. That's the probability of both things happening. Number 2 says Stephanie rolls a number cube that has the sides numbered from 1 to 6. And I like to write those numbers out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What is the probability of the cube landing on 2 and then 5? So, probability of 2 and then 5. So this is one of those tricky ones where it says 2 and 5. That's 2 things happening. If it said 2 or 5, that would be 1 thing happening. So it sounds so easy, but they can really be tricky. So you need the probability of landing on a 2 and the probability of landing on a 5. What's the probability of landing on a 2? Well, I have 2 out of 6. So probability of a 2 is 2 out of 6. I can simplify that to 1/3. If I don't simplify first, that's okay. I'll simplify later. It just makes my multiplication more difficult. Then I need probability of landing on a 5. Oh my goodness, what am I doing? That's not 2, 6. There is only one number 2. That's 1, 6. Jeez Louise. Probability of landing on a 5 is also 1, 6. My goodness. Leads you down a bad path. 1 times 1. 6 times 6. That is the probability of both things happening. Now, number 3 says, what is the probability of spinning the spinner and having it land on a vowel and flipping tails on a coin? So I need probability of a vowel and probability of tails. Now up here, we said probability of tails was 1/2. Now vowels are A, E, I, O, and U. So I have 1, 2, out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So probability of a vowel is 2 out of 5. Now you're going to multiply 1 times 2, 5 times 2, and then you're going to simplify. Now I'm going to let you do number 4 and number 5 on your own, and then we're going to move to number 6. So hit pause, do 4 and 5 because you have to be able to do those before you can do number 6. So if you can't do those, that tells me you're not ready. So hit pause and do those. Number 6 says the probability of flipping a coin and having it land on heads is 1/2. If a coin is tossed 14 times, coin to land on heads. Keyword is expect. If it's expect, you're going to use a proportion. So we have probability of landing on heads is 1/2. That is 1/2 of your proportion. The other half is this 14 times. And the 14 is going to go on bottom. Solve that proportion and you will have your answer. Number 7 says a spinner is divided into 4 equal sections. And I'm just going to draw my spinner right now. The probability of landing on A is 1/4. Norma spins the spinner 16 times. How many times can she expect the spinner to land on A? So again, probability of A is 1/4. That is half of your proportion. The other half is going to be that 16 times. Number 8 says the probability of a number cube landing on 4 is 1/6. If a cube is tossed 18 times, how many times can it be expected to land on 4? So if probability of 4 is 1/6 and you're going to do it 18 times, that 18 is going to go on bottom. And number 9 says the probability of picking a blue pen from the cup of pens is 1/3. Tim picks one pen from the cup without looking, records the color, and then puts the pen back. He does this 15 times. How many times can he expect to pick a blue pen? Oh my goodness, it is a trick. It wants you to think there's more than one thing going on. We only want blue pens. Probability of a blue pen is 1/3. How many times is he going to try to choose a blue pen? 15 times. That's the bottom number on the other half of your proportion. I actually can't remember if you have 10 and 11 on your paper. I'm going to do it just in case. Or at least get you started, but if you don't have them, that's okay. Number 10, if you have it, says the probability of getting a plush toy from the claw machine at its is 1/16. If 64 guests try to get a plush from the claw machine, how many guests can expect to get a plush toy? Probability of a plush toy is 1/16. 1/16. That is one side of your proportion. The other side is the 64 guests. I know it doesn't say 64 times, but each guest does it one time. That's 64 times. Number 11 says Jocelyn bought a mystery pack of 25 scented markers. The probability of getting a raspberry scented marker is 1/5. Raspberry is gross, by the way. What is the probability of getting a raspberry scented marker? That doesn't make sense. Don't do 11. It doesn't make sense.